Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Psychedelic Shaman. We'll be speaking about that book today because we have the author right here. The author is Tom Soloway Pinkson, a Ph.D. psychologist, ceremonial retreat and vision fast leader, sacred storyteller, and shaman. And I want to begin by just quoting the beginning of this book, The Psychedelic Shaman. It has the subtitle, The Wisdom Warrior's Path to Transformation. It says, this book is about becoming a psychedelic shamanic wisdom warrior for the healing of personal and planetary wounds. Living as such a warrior means striving for authentic, soulful integrity and walking your heart path to completion. It involves being an agent of conscious evolution, serving spirit rather than ego. So I just want to welcome you, dear listener. Tap into this. Please stick around because I just know it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful time here. You don't want to miss it. And most welcome to you, Tom Soloway Pinkson.
Good to be here. Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So this is just your latest book that I'm quoting and that we're diving into today. And it's been an experience to read it because you take us way back to early times in your life, right? Um, do you have any comment for what I just quoted you? Let's begin there with this wisdom warrior.
I just want to make sure I'm understanding what you're asking me now to just.
It's a very open question. Comment on whatever you want to around this wisdom warrior path, and
Uh,
and also like just yeah, because in the beginning of your book you relate this all the way back to being 13 years old, and so anything you want to comment around that? Open question.
yeah, yeah. So just to share with you and my and the listeners, my process in life is just listening to what dropping in deeper and just listening to what comes up given the situation. So I'm taking in your question, dropping in, listening, and wisdom warrior. What comes up for me is the challenging times we're living in.
Mm.
We're not living in lightweight times. We're living in pretty intense times that are getting more intense and pushing whatever reactivity buttons they push inside of us. Each of us has our own versions of those, but given the power of what's happening in the world, buttons are getting pushed. And so, what's key, and I think that's part of an evolutionary process, trying to help us two-leggeds, humanity, to wake up, to remember who we are, to see how the most effective prison is the one we don't even know we're in, and we're conditioned. I don't know about Denmark so much, but in the United States, and I call it the Eurocentric mainstream culture, we're conditioned to believe that we're separate things.
Yeah.
We're conditioned to believe that separation is the nature of reality. And so that's what gets us into trouble. To me, that's the root cause of the suffering in the world. Because as soon as I believe in separation, I'm going to be anxious because I'm separate from the source. I'm separate. I'm now in competition. I'm worried. I'm fearful about others going to take from me. And so fear is the outcome of that belief in separation, and violence ultimately when the ego feels threatened enough by the quote perceived as other, then there's violence. And so that's what we're seeing against each other, against ourselves. We don't learn how to be in loving relationship with ourselves. We learn how to be, I call fault finders with ourselves. We're not good enough. I didn't do it good enough. And how to create, what we learn is how to create suffering from that root cause of the belief in separation. And therein the problems of the world that we take. And so we're being tested, I think, by evolution, by the wisdom and power of the universe. Folks, what's happening in the world now, it's not punishment. It's trying to help you wake up to this illusionary perception and separation. Wake up to the truth. Free yourself from the imprisonment of a constrictive ego identity and open your consciousness, your mind, to recognize the truth of reality, how we're all connected, interwoven in a web of life. And when we open up and open our minds and deepen and expand and raise what I call the bandwidths of our awareness to recognize and understand and live from what I call the three A's: Aloha, cosmic love from Hawaii, the word; Alaha, which is the Aramaic word that means sacred unity; and to live with Alegría, with joy, the three A's. And that is possible when we do that, when we open our minds in that way. We're capable of creating a peaceful and just and beautifully diverse win-win world for all. We're capable of creating that kind of a world, even as, the shit's hitting the fan more and more, right? We are capable of that as long as we're alive. And so I feel called, I'm 80 years old, and to share what I've learned, been fortunate to learn about in support of the next generation, and waking up to do what we can to recognize that the essence of our being is love, infinite unconditional love. We're all connected, and let's wake up and work cooperatively and create the kind of world we're capable of creating. Wisdom warriors, it takes wisdom warriors to do that. Wisdom to see the truth, and then a warrior, calling on the courage of a warrior to show up in the challenges and respond to the guidance we can get when we open with humility to Spirit's guidance. Because the steps they're going to be asked to take are not going to be in ego's comfort zone. So we have to call on courage. And therein, the notion of the wisdom warrior.
Wonderful. I love how you're guided by spirit also as you speak. And I'm really honored to be with you. You in the foreword, what is it called? Michael what's his word? What's his name? The one who writes your foreword for this book?
Oh, Michael Ziegler.
Ziegler, yeah. So he says, as a wisdom elder, Thomas, so that's another name for you. Thomas has conducted thousands of ceremonies in service of healing and deepening people's understanding of themselves and their relationship to our planet. So he calls you a wisdom elder. I just wanted to underline that. And I love what you say. For me, like astrology just is in my mind when you speak, and of course it's very important to like comment on the current situation. So I wonder, why did you publish now the Psychedelic Shaman? Is that a comment to the world now? I mean, psychedelics has helped you in your life. Is it something that you encourage other people to do as well, or is it just? I mean, it's in the title of your book. It must be a big deal for you.
Yeah. Well, I had a particularly hard nut case to crack, so to speak, from the cultural conditioning and from the wounds of my life. So I was, until I had 20 years old, my first experience with LSD, which is legal at the time, and I was interested in the unconscious, and I recognized that LSD had the power to unleash the unconscious and higher levels of consciousness. So I was interested in exploring that. So prior to that initial experience, which totally blew out the fuse box of my belief system, which was based on the perception of separation, I was very, very unconsciously stuck in the patterns conditioned inside of me, and I was an atheist. I was very involved in the anti-war movement and the civil rights movement. An activist. Thought religion was the opiate of the masses, and spirituality was just not interested in it. What can we do to make a difference here? And I was angry and bitter and cynical and an atheist and all of that. And then I have this experience that I talk about in this book and my first book I wrote many years ago, the shamanic wisdom of the Huichol, the Indians in Mexico. I did an 11-year apprenticeship with. Totally opened up blew apart the fuse box of my understanding and opened me to what I spoke about earlier, the underlying interconnectedness of all of life, of all of creation, and that the essence of our being is infinite unconditional light and love. And so that totally transformed my whole life, and so it was very important and meaningful to me at that point, in opening me up to free me from the prison I didn't know I was in, of that constricted ego identity. And ever since then, over 50, almost 60 years ago, I've been using the sacred medicines, I call them plant medicines, in the ways I've been taught by wisdom elders around the world, indigenous people who've been using these substances in a sacred way. And so basically they've got tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of years of research and development, you might say, development about how to work with these sacred plant medicines that can open the doorway for the fullest potential to be realized. Because it's not inherent that you take a psychedelic and you're going to have a wonderful, beautiful experience. It opens the doorway to the unconscious, so whatever's in the shadow that hasn't been dealt with is going to come out amplified and be right in your face, and that can be pretty scary if you don't know how to work with it skillfully. And they're in the ceremonies where there are elders who did know how to work with these substances. So for me, I think the key is the importance of opening our minds to what, like I said, to deepening and broadening and raising the bandwidth of our awareness to recognize the truth of reality, how it works, so we can work in harmony and balance with it, promoting healthy life, sustaining healthy life, as compared to the actions that come from the belief in separation. Nature, excuse me, is something to be used for our benefit, and we just take without learning how to give. So we're out of balance. We're not in a respectful relationship with the way the universe works. And that leads to the problems we have. So just dropping in again, listening, feeling, inviting listeners to drop in and feel whatever they're experiencing, you and all of us, in this moment of being breathed. Right now in this moment, we're all being breathed by the sacred power of the universe. Opening, receiving, the life force moves through us, activates all the processes necessary for our bodies to maintain life inside that we don't know how to do, physiological, energetic processes. And then there's a releasing breath out and letting go. And then there's a pause, and then there's a new breath where the universe breathes in life to us, life force energy. And it breathes in that life force energy with a question. Every time the breath comes in, if we're paying attention, if we've developed a discipline of the witness to be present and notice that wave of life force energy flowing in, and we're open and humble and paying attention, we can hear the question, which is, how do you want to use me? I'm giving you life force energy because I believe in you, the universe, the voice of the universe, whatever you want to call that. And I respect you enough to give you free choice about how you use this energy I give you. And if we don't make that choice consciously, the choice automatically goes to the unconsciously conditioned programs, software programs, it's based on that perception of separation and create suffering. So a key part of the waking up process is answering, being present consciously with a good quality of conscious attention to answer that question consciously. I want to use this life force energy you're giving me to open my awareness to your presence, to love's presence, to show up in my life with integrity, with soulfulness, with authenticity, and to honor the life you've given me, and to try to serve not my ego, but serve your will, higher will, for the benefit of all. And so this is, again, the wisdom warrior using the indigenous wisdom ways of shamanism, which is really about opening to the way and that the visible universe works and the underlying spirits that manifest the physical plane universe. How to open ourselves to their wisdom guidance, to be in relationship with them that promotes harmony and balance and peace and healing and transformation, and utilizes the infinite creative wisdom that all of us human beings have access to if we open ourselves to. So the key to all of this is opening our minds, deeper levels, expanding, raising our consciousness. And the original definition of or understanding of the term psychedelic means mind expanding. So what I've used and continue to use psychedelic sacred medicine plants in ceremonial way to expand our minds. Not everybody needs to take psychedelics.
Okay.
It's whatever works to expand our minds. For 51 years, I've been going out on vision quests, fasting in the wilderness. Just returned a couple of weeks ago from my 51st. And we don't take psychedelic medicine there. We're opening ourselves of what I call the psychedelic medicine wheel. And what I mean by that is a good example when you where you are right now, nighttime is coming, right?
Yeah.
And tomorrow morning, something will happen in the east from where you live and where all of us live, that all of a sudden is bringing energy from 93 million miles away to light up, like the song said, light up our lives, right? Every morning. So there's a huge life-giving power that comes from the east. It's very dramatic. Well, equally so, there's a medicine power, a teaching, a force of wisdom that comes from the south, from the west, from the north, from above, from below, and in and through the center, which is in us. So each of those directions is giving us information and guidance and power and wisdom teachings about how to open our minds, deepen, expand, and raise the bandwidth of our awareness. So that's why I call it a psychedelic medicine wheel, the sacred hoop of life. And going out on vision quests, fasting for periods of days and nights in the wilderness, produces those effects without taking psychedelics. So what I'm interested in is supporting people and opening our minds to recognize, wake up, recognize the truth of our being, that we are love, that our love is forgiving and receiving, and to work cooperatively with listening to Spirit's guidance about how to create a win-win world for all. So psychedelics are helpful to me, to many people. You don't have to use psychedelics to open your mind, to expand your mind.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I'm really loving hearing you speak. First of all, I want to say that I'm really enjoying it and I'm feeling into it. And yeah, I'm feeling that I don't know if the word desire is going to ruin it all, but like the desire for expansion, or the need for it, the necessity of expanding your mind. And like you, in the beginning of your answer, it was like you have been so programmed and so much imprisoned that psychedelics was, well, it was your journey. And yeah, so that's the word where I was introducing you, vision fast. That's actually what you were just explaining, that's psychedelics without the psychedelics. It's that same kind of journey, but without any plant medicine.
Yeah.
And, and you just did your 51st one?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, it was.
Wow. You have been well trained that you're still able to do that. That's amazing. Even to do it at all. I mean, you have to
Just,
be trained.
just to say, sorry for interrupting, but for me, it's like the measurement of my year from one year to the next. I already can't wait. If Spirit gives me another year to live, I can't wait to go back to the desert. I mean, I'm still integrating the medicine, the teachings that came through this Vision Quest a couple of weeks ago. So I get assignments from it, I get insights, I get empowerment from it, I get inspiration. And then I've got the rest of the year to try to do the best I can to honor my assignments, whatever they are. Then I come back the following year, I get to review how did I do with it? Where did I drop the ball? Where did I accomplish it? What do I need to keep going with? And I get new assignments. So for me, it's like it's something I need to do, and I do it once a year for me. And there's always a group of people who want to go, and they all get good medicine from it. Everybody gets worked, because when you go out there into the desert and the wilderness, it's not interested in feeding your ego.
Mm.
You're going to get your buttons pushed in one way or another, and you're going to get humbled, and you're going to get threshed, you're going to get worked, which is part of the process of like the new can't come in if I'm filled up with the answers and I know everything and I'm arrogant and it's a closed system. It's a constricted closed system. So if you don't have practices to open yourself and humble yourself, you're going to get humbled by circumstances in one way or another, have to deal with your shadow, which opens the doorway, if you work with it skillfully, to receiving wisdom guidance from higher consciousness to help you in your life. And I don't know about you or your listeners, but I'm very clear. I need all the help I can get to work my challenges in the best way that I can.
Surely, I follow you on that. Yeah, so it keeps you humble, the vision quest. I feel like asking just practical, like, how long are you there? Fasting means you don't eat anything, but you must drink water, right? And are you up during the night as well? Sometimes vision quest means you're up during the night.
Yeah, so with the way I've been initiated into the Vision Quest many years ago, I teach people about the medicine wheel. I teach people about the sacredness of reciprocity. My first Vision Quest teacher, indigenous man, asked me when I talked to him about going out on a quest. He said, "When was the last time you lie down on the earth on your stomach and you said to Mother Earth, 'Thank you for all the gifts you've been giving me
Mm.
every day of my life'?" So when was the last time you did that? And I was totally busted. The answer was never. So he said, when you go out on a vision quest, go to each of those directions of the medicine wheel and give thanks for the medicine, the teachings coming from each one of those directions that have been feeding you in one way or another, unconsciously to you, but they have been feeding you. And give thanks. So you come back from the vision quest tired, exhausted, because you've spent your whole time giving back gratitude in a way that's meaningful to you. So when people go out on the quest, I say what you bring on your quest is going to influence your experience. What you don't bring in terms of equipment on your quest is going to influence your experience. So it comes back to your intention, what it is you're seeking. And when you're out there in your place of power for 2, 3, 4 days, yeah, no, fasting, I encourage people to drink water because when you're not eating, the body then starts to clean up and release some toxins inside, and so it's important to have some water to flush the system. Indigenous people, and the first time I did Quest, I did it for 4 days without food and water, and it was incredibly powerful. But I don't think it really pushed me. And Indigenous people traditionally live different kind of lifestyles, and they weren't breathing poison air, they weren't eating poison food, so they had stronger systems. And so to go 4 days without water and fasting, that was okay for them. It pushed them, but it wasn't health potentially injurious the way it can be to those of us raised in modern times with even if we try to eat good food, we're breathing poison air, and there's so
Oh.
much. So I encourage people to drink the water. But in terms of what they do when they're out on their quest, see, that's between you and the Great Spirit. I'm not a policeman watching you and telling you what to do.
So
I'm
you can.
just, you can do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want because it's your experience. So given what you're seeking, again, I refer people to go back. You didn't come out here by accident. You have a purpose in being here. You're seeking something. So what
Mm.
are you willing to, what's the source of what you're seeking for you? What is the source? So come in a deeper, respectful relationship with that source. And one of the ways of doing that is instead of asking for more, give me this, give me that, drop in and see what do you have to be thankful for that you haven't said thanks for, because to that degree you're out of balance with yourself and the creative powers of the universe. So it's an opportunity on quest to address that imbalance by going to each direction, giving thanks. Now how each person does that, that's up to them. I share rituals with them and ceremonies before they go out, so there's seeds planted in terms of possibilities. But whatever ritual they or whatever they do is coming out of their own listening
Mm.
in relationship to what it is they seek. What are you willing to give of yourself and what you seek in terms of what you seek?
Mm. That's the highest, I think, to teach people to be guided by themselves.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have many questions for you. I know I'm gonna sort in it, but just a few here. So for some reason, when I read your book, I felt like asking you about what if you just have a normal job? I'm not sure what I read from it, but I think it's maybe like you're sharing wisdom here, and I just feel like saying, okay, but when the going gets tough here on Earth, and I feel I can't do anything about it, um, then what? As maybe I have a quote here. Let's see. Life is an exploration of what is possible. It's a
Yeah,
cosmic experiment to see what we humans do with the gift of life. You were just saying that, like, what do we do with the gift of life?
yeah,
The gift of consciousness we've been given as part of the collectivity of humanity, woven together in a web of interconnectivity and interdependence with the entire cosmos. So it's wonderful. It's wonderful. I love it. And then when I read it, I was just like, I was really unhappy with something on my work, right? So I think that's why I was like, can you just answer me about everyday life where you feel you can't even make that change because you have to survive?
so again, let me make sure I'm understanding what you're asking me to respond to.
Yeah.
And then if I'm wrong, tell me, correct me. So
Yeah.
you're seeking the challenges of daily life, how to work with the challenges of daily life in a skillful way.
If you feel like you can't really say, oh, everything is possible to me, because
Everything is what?
yeah, you can't really agree to everything is possible, and nothing
Oh,
impossible, but because there is so many limitations to your everyday life, and you have to go to work and you have to earn this money.
yeah.
What do you say about that?
Well, I think this is a, I think this is a both and universe, not an either or universe. So I think very definitely we live in a field of infinite possibility. We live in an infinite energy field of infinite possibility. I'm very aware through the work of 60 years with consciousness expansion and going inside of the limitations put on me unconsciously by the cultural conditioning I got growing up. I don't think I'm unique in that regard. And and the medicine, what I call the medicine, the Vision Quest experiences, pilgrimages to places of power with indigenous people, and the work with psychedelic medicine, helped me see the limitations my culture had put on me in terms of beliefs about what's possible. So
Right.
through that opening, on many different levels and ways, and tested what I call tested some of those beliefs in working with children with life-threatening illness, which I did for decades and decades, to apply some of these teachings in these really horrendous situations that some of these young innocent children were going through in terms of the disease and the treatment and being with a number of them as they died, crossed over, uh, was like testing out these concepts and beliefs that the visionary journeys had showed me as to be true, like the transformational power of love, that we have the ability to channel. We all have the ability to channel that because it's in us through grace, infinite, unconditional light and love. But that's a very different belief and understanding of who we are than what Western culture brings you up in. You're not, it's much more judgment and evaluative fault finding. It's like I'm following you around to see it. Oh, you didn't do that right.
Mhm.
You blew that one. That was not, you're not, so there's negative judgments, which constrict and, of course, lower self esteem. And we're not good enough. We're trying to prove ourselves, and we're running away through what unhealthy relationships and abusive ways of being. Um, so we get the opportunity through through suffering to learn about limitations uh, that we might be putting on ourselves through unconsciously conditioned beliefs about who we are and what we're capable of. So if it's true that we live in a universe of infinite possibilities, creative possibility, I have access to that. That's not something out there and I'm separate from it. I'm in that field and it's in me. So let me not get given that access to the truth of I have access, we all have access to infinite creative wisdom, power, energy of the universe. It's flowing into us with each breath.
Mm.
It's flowing into us with each breath. The sunlight that comes from when day breaks, and all of a sudden that energy from 93 million miles away is coming to us, or you light a candle or a fire, you see it in the fire, whatever. It's the same energy basically. That there's a transmission there of wisdom energy in the we call them beams of photons. There's a transmission of the infinite creative wisdom power of the universe coming into us, pouring into us. And I'll just share a brief, what I call medicine song that came out of my listening to that intention, because the song speaks about what that light is doing to help us wake up, to be able to see the limitations we put on ourselves, as if we're saying to the universe, which has infinite possibility. Well, it's not, I just want to hide from my ego place to you, creative power of the universe. I just want to let you know, it's not going to be possible for me to find a loving partner and be happy in this life, or to have prosperity, or to feel good about myself, or thought forms of stories that are inculcated unconsciously that cause limitation. I don't have any power to change that if I don't face it, if I don't see it and take responsibility for. These are stories while they were conditioned unconsciously. I've been feeding them unconsciously. I don't have any power to change or pull a plug on it until I see it, and then release it and open up to the truth. I'm living in a universe of infinite possibilities. Let me not be the one to limit what's possible by constrictive thoughts in my own mind. Let me open my mind to that infinite creative wisdom power and see what it wants to dream through me, what it wants to bring through me in this life. Because in fact, I didn't give myself this life. That creative power of the universe, whatever you want to call it, is giving me this life and sustaining my life. So part of the waking up process is to pull the focus of attention on serving my ego, satisfying my ego, and instead I want the rewards for me are going to be a lot greater than whatever can come from serving my ego, to open up to you, creative power of the universe. And hey, what did you have in mind for my life here? I want to open a guidance about that, so when it comes to my end of my life, I can look back on it and feel good that I showed up and I lived it from my integrity and from my authenticity and from my soul. So I can, so I feel I showed up to do the best I could to complete the assignments you gave me in this life. So I can walk, because I walk my heart path to completion. And now when it's time to go, whenever it is, I can release with peace because I feel good. It wasn't about perfection. I'm a human being. I took incarnation to have a human experience. And so I had all of it. And I remembered I'm more than that. I'm connected to you. And I tried my best to serve what you guided me to serve, in service to you, higher will that benefits all.
Wonderful. Yes, yes, yes. I'm feeling you. I'm with you. And I believe in the same things. I just have a little longer to integrate, to go that road. But it sounds like what you're speaking about is a happy death, right? Where you're fulfilled.
Say that again. Say it again.
A happy death or a peaceful death because you
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. If when my death comes to me, and I've got unfinished business in my relationships with people, my heart's close to some people, and I've been holding on to judgment or myself, shame or guilt or negative thought forms. It's stuck in my gut. The energy of that's stuck in my gut. The wound, whatever, we all have wounds in this life, and if I haven't processed them in a skillful and conscious way, it's stuck in my gut. And so all of a sudden, the death comes. It's as if I've been saying to myself, I'll deal with that stuff tomorrow or next month, or when Mars transits Venus or whatever. So I've been putting it off, and all of a sudden, if death comes and says, "Hey," picks me up, it's time to go. We're going. Wait a minute, stop! I didn't deal with this. Give me another time. I got to. Said, no, we're going. So I'm not going to be peaceful then. I'm going to be fighting it. And that's going to exacerbate any pain or physical or physiological suffering from the illness, the treatment. Be a rougher go as compared to Time to go? Okay, well, I'm sorry to go now. I had more plans. Would have loved to live longer, but I don't have any regrets. I don't have stuck energy in my pipes. I showed up and gave it my best shot. And thank you for the opportunity of the years that I do have. And I release to you,
Mm.
source from which I actually came from and returning to with gratitude.
I really feel that that's something I dream of. I mean, that's when you're able to be in that space. And yeah, okay. Anyway, I have a little mark in my mind where I want to ask you about what assignments, an example of an assignment you got. But before that, I also want to quote from the book where you say, a wisdom warrior uses everything to grow. So just kind of answering my own question, I was like, I need to ask you this, but you're also answering it in the book actually, where you say, use everything to grow. Um, so, and you want to be more peaceful, more joyful, more loving, do it now while under this stress. Dissolve your ego's attempts to feel sorry for itself. Yeah. So, yeah, maybe elaborate. I have many questions all at once. We'll just see what spirit wants to ask or answer through you, right? Because I also want to ask you about around the 12 principles of attitudinal healing, because I know you worked with someone on this who had a school in it, and you are still living from those attitudinal healing principles. So maybe you want to say something about that. So I have many questions in the air for you. It's like something around your own assignment and um yeah, attitudinal healing, whatever you feel like answering.
Yeah, and just to say, I think let's trust we have time to cover everything you want to cover. Let's
Okay.
just surrender and trust that divine
Yes.
time. So the principles of attitudinal healing refer to what came out of a psychiatrist, Jerry Jampolsky's work with the Course in Miracles that people may or may not be familiar with, but it's a channeled work that came through an atheist actually, but it felt like the voice was coming from Jesus, bringing through uh, these 12 principles of using our minds in a way to open our minds to love's presence, opening our awareness to love's presence. Like we don't have to. If the first principle of attitudinal healing is the essence of our being is love. So if that's true, we don't have to pray for love. We don't have to go seeking love. We don't have to try to manipulate others to get love. We are love.
Yeah.
And what's it for? It's for giving. Love is for giving. That's the purpose of it, giving it to ourselves, giving it to each other. And the other principles all interrelate. They're really the essence of the wisdom traditions of the world put in a secular way. The
Okay.
essence of my being is love. And when I came to work with I helped start the second hospice program in the United States many years ago. And I came from that to this program that was just getting started working with children in with life-threatening illness, Jerry Jampolsky, who was very touched by the Course of Miracles and came forth with those 12 principles that didn't alienate anybody because they were secular.
Mm.
And and so when I was invited, Spirit basically brought me to this Jerry's small group of people who were just starting this work with children with life-threatening illness. So I came to that from the hospice work, and uh, and when he shared with me what the principles were, they fit totally with my experiences that I'd had from my initial opening of consciousness with LSD, and subsequent visionary experiences with Christ consciousness, with other numinous spiritual um, transcended experiences, what I saw, what I felt, what I understood about deeper reality, that these 12 principles totally encapsulated everything in a beautiful language of what I experienced as truth. So it felt like coming home. And the principles of another one of the principles, we can be love finders instead of fault finders. We have choice. Again, if we're conscious in the moment and we take responsibility, we can continue to allow ourselves to be fault finders in the way we were conditioned, finding fault with ourselves, finding fault with others, which feeds suffering, because as soon as there's judgment, the heart closes. And who pays the price for the closed heart? Me.
Mm.
So healing is the releasing of the judgments, and I can't release them unless I face them, the truth of them, and take responsibility for. I've been telling myself a story unconsciously and feeding it, which that I'm not good enough, I don't deserve this, it could never be for me, or whatever it is, or I'm a bad person, or they're a bad person, or all constricts, closes the heart, pain and suffering. So we can choose to be love finders, because if the truth of our being is love, which it is in my experience, then I've got everything I need wherever I go, whatever's happening, to go inside of that love and send it out to other people instead of trying to get it from other people. I don't need it from other people because I've already got it. I'm just sharing it with other people without attachment to what they do with it, or else it's conditional love, the love of the marketplace. But the love essence inside of us is not conditional; it's infinite, it's unconditional. So the more I send it out, the more I'm experiencing it consciously. My life is enriched by making the shift, pulling the plug on being a fault finder to being a love finder. I'm going to find more and more reasons to send love to you, no matter what you do. It's not about changing you or making you be different, but when I give that love freely to you, I'm having the experience of feeling that juice vibrating through me. So I've already won. I don't need anything from you, right?
Brilliant. That's brilliant. So this is the attitude that you're living from
Yes.
today.
Yeah. Yeah. This is what I don't know about you, but I've had enough suffering in my life. So to the degree that I can be conscious of not causing suffering for myself, I want to do that. And I want to use the instrument of my mind in a way to not to pull a plug on suffering, not deny it or repress it or project it or or try to not
Bypass
pay
it.
attention to it, name this TV watching or substances or whatever. I want to I want to learn how to use my mind to open my awareness to love's presence. It's the more I do that, the richer my life's going to be, no matter what's happening in the world or even in my body.
Mm. Mm. Yeah. Okay, so just out of curiosity, what could one of the assignments for you be when you're on a vision fast quest and you said
Okay.
assignments every year?
What's an example of an assignment?
Yes.
Vision quest. Let me just, I mean, there's so many, so let me just listen for a moment. Well, one that's has very practical results is in my meditations and giving thanks prayers, the way I start each morning and putting energy into what my conscious intentions are for how I want to live this day that I'm given. I'm opening and I'm listening to Spirit's guidance for myself on an everyday basis. When I go on the vision quest, I have uninterrupted time of just being in nature for deeper, longer listening. And so songs, little chants come through me. And when I was in eighth grade, I was shamed in a chorus class because my voice was so bad. I loved to sing, but I was shamed, and so I left the class in shame and just shut down on something that I love to do, just to sing. And the fact that I love to sing doesn't mean I have any great voice. I don't have great ears. I'm singing out of tune, but when I'm singing, I'm having a good time. I'm joyful. It makes me joyful to sing songs that are me. So for so many years, I'd shut down that after being shamed. And it wasn't until actually years later, with the help of medicine, that I finally pulled the plug on that fear of singing out loud and gave myself permission to bring it out. And so these chants that would come to me, like the one I mentioned earlier that came to me from listening to the fire, the sacred fire, the transmission of the fire, which I'll sing for you in a minute. So they would come to me, I would sing them, they would help me focus my consciousness, raise my consciousness, But then the guidance was, I gave you these songs not just for yourself. I gave you these songs to share with other people because they could be helpful to other people. So I want you to go sing them to other people. So my ego responds, oh my God, there's no way. I'll be shamed again. I'm nervous. I'm anxious. There's no way I'm going to expose myself and be that vulnerable. But the spirit was inside saying, no, that's you asked for guidance for your life. So with psychedelics and with Vision Quest, the same dynamic. If you're not willing to take more responsibility for your life, don't do it. Because if you're asking for something and you get the guidance and then you don't act on it, you're dishonoring yourself.
Ah,
You're hurting yourself. It's better not to ask and just go about your life. But if you ask, you've incurred a debt of responsibility
okay. Yeah.
to the universe. So, in spite of the fact that I was anxious, fearful, nervous about singing in front of others, I finally said, okay, I give myself permission to be a nervous wreck. I give myself permission for people to, run out of the room screaming in horror at how out of tune my voice is. But I'm not going to shut down my passion and my love and joy of singing and trying to honor this assignment when I'm with somebody and spirit says, hey, I want you to sing that song I gave you with them. So I'm going to do that with you right now. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm so
Okay.
ready. I'd love
So
it.
just imagine that before us is a candle or a fire, or we're outside when the sun comes up and we're taking in the energy of that light, that gift of grace coming to us from the creative wisdom power of the universe. And it says, I'm sending you light to help you remember. I'm sending you light to hold you in love. I'm sending you light to help you remember. I'm sending you light to guide your way home. Love is the answer. Love is the key. Love is the healer. Let love flow through thee. Let love flow. Yahweh, let love flow. Yahweh. Oh, yeah. Yahweh, by the way, is a word for thankfulness from the indigenous people in Northern California, where I lived for many years. So
Okay.
there's an example of an assignment. I want you to sing these songs to whomever you're with. When I kind of give you the signal, I want you to sing the song to this person or for these people because it may be helpful to them. Don't be attached to how they react, whether they like it, they don't like it. It's not your business. Just sing it. So that's an example of assignment that was not in my ego's comfort zone.
Absolutely, obviously.
Yeah, so I had to pull the plug on it, face it, pull the plug on it, give myself permission to feel anxious, but don't give my power to the fear to shut me down from doing what my heart and spirit was calling me to do.
So you actually published some of these, right?
Yeah, then further assignments were okay. Not only do I want you to sing it, I want you to pick up your guitar and put some chords to it. I'm a clumsy guitar player, but I can do a little bit. And then a further assignment was I want you to make CDs. This was in the days when they made CDs. And I said, oh my God, I don't have the money to do it. I don't know how to do it. Don't worry about it. Just keep paddling forward and I'll take care of you. I'll help you out. So one after the other, stepping out of the ego's comfort zone to honor the assignment. That's a
Yeah,
good example of it.
that's a good example. And you're getting that direct message to do that. Yeah. Okay.
Well, let
So
me ask you a question. Speaking of direct messages, when I was singing that song, I'm sending you light to
yes,
help you remember, what did you experience when you were healing and feeling the energy of that song?
just such thankfulness for you doing it because many of us, I'm afraid, have had that experience of being shut down as children, wanting to sing our lungs out, right? And then
Yeah.
like, oh, it's out of tune or whatever. And then yeah, all the fault finding and you're just shutting that off and you just have an identity of, oh, I'm not a singer or I can't do that. But I really relate to what you're saying, that it's such a wonderful expression, no matter how it sounds. It's just a
Yeah,
natural expression for us to use our voice, so it shouldn't be shut down. So I was just really thankful for you doing that for me, because that's another side of it. One thing is to do it yourself. It's also really pleasant for someone else to dare to do that to me. I just enjoyed your voice, and I was imagining light, and I was also thinking of, yeah, this is really about relating and being aware of these subtle things. Just notice the light on your skin, like notice what is already here.
yeah,
And when I go into thoughts of, oh, I just have this job and I have to survive and I'm never going to get to my dream, just like being really present to all the subtleties of what's coming at you right now. That's what I took from your song of, the light.
yeah. Beautiful. Now you mentioned the word relationship. So one of my Vision Quest experiences, um, the opportunity for deep reflection, right? Through the fasting creates an altered state of consciousness, and days and nights of entrainment with the natural rhythms. It just slowly opens you up, um, and expands your sense of who and what you are and your connectedness with everything. So I started to think about, is there anything that's not about relationship? And I couldn't think about anything that was not about relationship. And
Yeah.
then this song started to come through me. So here's another song. It's all about relationship. The web I weave so fine. It's all about relationship. The love I have to shine. And it's all about relationship. The web you weave so fine. And it's all about relationship. The love you have to shine. It's all about relationship.
Mm.
What kind of relationship do we have with ourselves, with our feelings, with our thoughts, with our dreams, with our intuition, with earth, with ancestors, with our parents, with each other, with the people we work with animals? It's all about relationship,
Mm.
and we're all related.
And yet we don't take it with us.
And what?
And I'm just philosophizing here, I guess. I'm thinking we don't take it with us when we die, those relationships, right? Or when
Well,
they die.
I think the I just was at a memorial service yesterday for what I call it, a brother friend of mine of over 50 years who was part of our family. And obviously his body's not here anymore. And I grieve and feel sadness for not being able to hang with him and have the good times that we did. Did the relationship end? Did the love we share end? I still feel the love. The relationship continues because it's deeper than, as we are, more than our physical bodies.
Mm.
So
Of course.
through our hearts, the relationship doesn't end. Again, this is an example of different kinds of belief systems. One material-based one, that you are your body and your ego identity that goes along with it, and your stories, and that's it. Well, if we open our minds and go deeper, you see that's just almost literally the surface of who we are. The essence of who we are is not our egos or our physical bodies, or identification of ego with our physical bodies and our ego stories. Who and what we are on a deeper level is that place of connectedness with the creative wisdom power of the universe, whatever you want to call that. So when the physical body dies, and the ego associated with it dies, did the essence of my being die? The essence of my being existed before it came into a physical incarnation, and it exists. And where did it go? What happens when the physical body dies? There's just the lack of a container that constricts the consciousness to the identity of that's who I am.
Mm.
So, did the relationship die? Uh, if I believe it died, then it becomes my reality. Absolutely, the power of belief. But if I if I see the limitations of that belief and I drop into the truth of what I'm feeling, did my love for him die? My friend die? Did his love stop because his essence is no longer in his physical body? That's not my experience. Relationships continue if we keep our hearts open.
Love this. I love the depth of how you're answering me. So thank you for that. I know we're coming to close. I just have two more things, and one of them is astrology. But first, I think because also like how you started out, maybe it's good to also end on just a little bit of where we are at the moment. Um, is it okay I quote you one more time?
Sure, you can do whatever you want.
I do whatever I want. Okay. So it's about this point that we need to relearn how to live in a holy manner. And you say, in the civilizations of modernity, driven by an out of control consumer capitalist economic system that prioritizes material wealth, acquisition, and profits over people, the ancient understanding of right relationship, like we were just speaking about, right relationship with the covenant of life has been lost. Mainstream consciousness today emphasizes the pursuit of personal gain and the accumulation of possessions, often at the expense of others. So, just wanted to hear you about that.
Well, I think that comes back to what I was talking about earlier. Is
Yeah.
my intention in my life to serve my ego?
Mm.
Therefore, every interaction I have is based on how can I use this to serve my ego? And since that is based on that perception of separation, I'm concerned with me getting, as long as I get what I want, if it's hurtful to other people or in the environment, that it's okay. I mean, I don't like it, I'm not proud of it, but at least I got what I want.
Mm.
But if the I wants are based on the material acquisition and possessions and status of ego, and I've got the best job or the biggest salary, to live in the biggest neighborhood or fanciest clothes or whatever, none of that, or power or status over others, none of that feeds the soul. The Western culture teaches us that's the value system. Base your life on those things, but none of that feeds the soul. So we keep in the billions of dollars spent on advertising and buy this, and then you'll be happy, or got that, and it's like the hamster in the wheel, going, and it's no wonder so many people are depressed or suffering or different kinds of medication or locked in constriction and fear and negativity and depression, and it's no wonder. So if you want to feed your soul, it's different than feeding your ego. If you want to feed your soul, listen to what's in your heart. Listen to what's in your deepest intuitive feeling and sense of the beauty and wisdom of your own integrity. What's right for you from the inside out, so that your heart's open and you feel good about yourself and the way you're living. And that's a different set of values. And how can I serve you? Fill in whatever word works for you, creator, or great spirit, or the great mystery, or the universe, whatever. Since I see trying to feed my ego, which my culture's taught me to do, leaves me starving in the soul, that's not an effective strategy to get my soul fed, so I can feel good from the inside out, you might say. So I'm gonna try to open myself up to you, creative wisdom, power of the universe, and listen to how I can serve you. That is going to benefit. I have the expression, fullest blossoming, greatest good for all. Fullest blossoming, greatest good for all. So in my prayer is, I open myself to your guidance about how to respond to this situation, this challenging situation internally or in the world or both, in a way that can open the doorway to bring through fullest blossoming, greatest good for all involved. That's a different intention. That's a different intention for serving my ego. And the more I can open up to that larger, however I define it, and then surrender into it, and call on the courage to act on what it calls me to do, the more my soul is fed, the richer my experience of being alive is.
Wonderful. I'm loving it. And I want to just have one look. Was that your wife coming in before? I couldn't ignore it.
Yeah. She was coming in. She didn't know I was still on this, so she was coming in probably to ask me to do something. I got to go and vacuum when I'm through here.
Oh, Oh no, let's postpone that. I just want to relate all of what you're saying really to a wonderful signature you have in your chart. You probably know your birth chart very well, but it's Neptune on the ascendant. It's even conjunct Chiron, and they're in Libra. Um, but that is so powerful around the peace message you have, and it's also really great that it's like a warrior in a way. But what kind of warrior, right? Um, so everything to do with unconditional love is really big. But I want to ask you about this because you also say somewhere in your book that psychedelics even helped you stop drinking. And so drinking is a lower version of that Neptune. But I want to ask you if you have always been in a position to, it's just what you're sharing here, to the programming, to the system. Have you always like felt, no, I want to do things differently? How have it been experienced for you?
When I was 3.5, 2 months before my fourth birthday, my dad died. And so and I was fortunate to have two loving parents, even though my dad wasn't with me for very long. At least I had that love to begin with. And all of a sudden, he's gone. And so I learned that there's this thing in the universe that exists called death that can take people we love whenever it wants and doesn't need our permission. And so that was very different. That was, like you say, a busting of the story, the fairy stories that I would hear, and they all lived happily ever after. Well, that story was busted for me when my dad died. And so it raised a question in my mind that I couldn't articulate as a 3.5-year-old. But as an adult, I could see. It raised the question of, in this universe where death can come and take whoever it wants without your permission, what, if anything, is based living a life on? And that became my vision quest, even though I couldn't articulate it at that age. And so all children come in with clarity of what's going on. They all see the king doesn't have any clothes.
Mm.
Right? Every child sees that until it's stomped out of them in one way or another. So not only did I come in with that awareness that all children come in with, now it was heightened. It was just heightened by the teaching of impermanence, death at an early age, to what has true meaning here, if anything. I'm going to look real closely at what this person is saying, and I'm going to check it out inside of me and see if it feels true or not. And so I'm interested. I'm cued into. I'm attuned to what's real
Mm.
and
Yeah.
what's not real. And given my knowledge of how death can come at every time, I don't want to waste my time and energy for whatever amount it is that I'm going to be walking on this earth, putting my energy into thoughts and beliefs and ways of being that are harmful, that are hurtful, and not based on the reality of the universe. I want to, as much as I can, learn about how the universe works so I can work skillfully with it and be a channel for healing in the world.
Ah, see, you're saying so many delicious Neptune words. Being a channeler, and also many things that you've said is around your life is that like there was stuff you couldn't control, and it happened, and then you took the stance of the spirituality as the truth rather than a more Saturnian point of view of what is reality. So Neptune is, for me, it's like, oh, it's a big part of who you are. And then that Chiron conjunction is that you're also teaching this is your mastery. You're mastering something that it's in a way impossible for humans to master. So it's like, yeah, you're channeling it, right? It's coming through you, and you've just set up your life for that, it seems.
Yeah, because that's what feeds my soul.
Feeds your soul. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Ah, Tom Pinkson, is there anything you want to say here in the end? I'm really happy for all that you've said so far. I'm so thankful. Is there anything in your heart here in the end you want to close off with?
Yeah, two things. Number one, thank you for reaching out to me and opening the doorway for us to connect and together in that doorway, bringing through what Spirit's bringing through to your listeners. So thank you for you and the good work you're doing. Blessings on it. May it grow and flourish. And the second thing I want to say is my two daughters are working on, that comes out of Vision Quest. My older daughter 2 years ago heard a voice that said, I have all the answers you need. You just need to listen to me more. So after a year of cultivation, inner cultivation, she's come out of that listening to create a movie that's called Listening with Fire. And listeners, she has a 1.5 minute like trailer of it called Listening with Fire that's going to be in an upcoming film festival in Santa Barbara. So if you go to Listening with Fire, Kimberly Pinkson on the internet, I think you'll be able to find it and look at that 90-second trailer of the movie that she's looking for funding to create into the full movie with, and I think people will be inspired because a lot of what I've been talking about today is presented in those 90 seconds of listening to fire with indigenous people doing prayers and around the sacred fire at night. It's Listening with Fire, check it out. And you can also vote on it. So it can be one of the premier films that presented at this conference, this film festival.
Film Freeway. I found her here. I'll make sure to link
Oh, great.
in the show
All
notes.
right.
Sure.
Teamwork. Way to go.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
The more the better to get out there. Oh man, Tom, I've really enjoyed this. I want to say one thing that I really, really take with me, many things, but I really liked when you were saying that thing about I will not be the source of my limitations or something like that. May I not be the source of my limitations. I really like that. That's such a prayer for me. May
Oh,
it not
good.
be, right? Fine that there are limitations, but I don't want to be the source of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's really good. Thank you so much. I cannot.
Okay. Yeah. Take care. Big hug.
Yeah. Yes.
All right.